Highway patrolman scared the Jesus out of me in the morning.
Yeah.
They're sitting on 15. Don't like
All right,
them.
7 o'clock. Call the meeting to order. 1.2, approval of the agenda.
President, I move we approve the agenda as presented.
Second. Moved by Randy, second by Rob to approve the agenda as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion passed. 2.1, personnel update.
All right, we do have a short list of personnel updates since we met at the regular meeting a couple weeks ago. Christine Barrett has announced that she will retire at the end of this year. She's been here for a number of years, done a great job for us. As with a lot of our retirees, it's sad to see that change for all of us, but congratulations to her on being able to do that. And then we have a person who is a substitute teacher is going to no longer substitute for us. I'm not sure what the details are there, but that's fine. And we have a new night custodian we would like to start yesterday. You know how that goes at the high school. That's about the extent of it.
I move we accept the personnel agenda or personnel update.
Moved by Randy, second by Jennifer to approve the personnel update. All in favor?
Aye.
Passed. 2.2, modified mitigation efforts.
All right. A couple weeks ago, KDHE had announced that they were going to be pulling out of the contact tracing business for the general population. I believe the state health department's communication with families that have positive cases also has been pulled back quite a little bit. The reason behind that is the number of cases for the COVID has become overwhelming for the state to manage. It was interesting to hear that language on a Zoom meeting with all of the school nurses in all of Dickinson County listening to that message. And it was kind of like, well, welcome to our party. So we are looking at today, we're making some minor adjustments to help alleviate some of that feeling of overwhelmness, quite frankly, for our school nurses. We are no longer interested in continuing to contact trace in the school system. That on one hand, that seems like a scary decision, but on the other hand, this Omicron variant or Star Wars variant, whatever we're going to call it, it's not nearly as dangerous as a lot of the coronavirus things that we have seen during the last 2 years. It also seems it's spreading so quickly. You know, if you haven't thought, man, it sounds like the common cold, then I can't imagine that you've heard much, because it really does. It's spreading like the common cold. It's lasting shorter than the common cold. We've had a number of folks recently diagnosed as positive with COVID here that are connected to our school system. And, you know, there's always outliers, but most everybody is over this in a matter of 3 or 4 days. And that's a good thing. And probably the most encouraging part from me is hearing that the Omicron is leading to immunities for the Delta variant, which, how in the world does that all happen? I don't know, but I like hearing that. In our short visits that we've had with the county health department, they really do believe that what we're experiencing right now is going to usher in an endemic where we'll finally say, hey, you know, this is like another flu. And that's the thing that we have all been holding tight to. I have communicated with legal counsel. Can we as a school system pretty much deal with this as another flu entirely at this point? And it sets us up with some liability if we do that completely. So what we're doing is pulling back on the contact tracing in the same manner, really, and the same reasons that the state is doing. We also are looking very closely at what we do with our antigen screening. We do have a limited number of tests, although it's several. If we end up screening 30 folks a day, we've got about 2 weeks worth. I visited with the nurse, with Brandy yesterday, last evening. It kind of sounded like she thinks she can still get some more. Quite frankly, our primary concern with the screening is with our staff, because then that means we don't have a teacher who is worried about passing coronavirus into her classroom or his classroom. So they want to get screened. Am I negative? I feel better about going ahead. It's a cough, it's a cold, whatever. I can go do my job. But if they're waiting on the doctors to do that, they'd be out of the classroom for 3 days twiddling their thumbs. So that's why we're recommending screening the teachers. As long as we have the tests, we're still recommending going ahead and working with families to screen the kiddos to prevent them from possibly being out of school for a month. Because what we're looking at doing, if I get sick with COVID in my family and I've got 3 kids, 2 days later my wife gets sick. 2 days later, one of those other kids gets sick. We're waiting for 5 days out without an additional onset of COVID before we can then start getting them back into class with modified quarantine. If we go ahead and do what we're doing now, without a modified quarantine. If we go ahead and do the modified quarantine, we can get the kids into school no later than 5 days after, well, it'd be on day 6. And we would do the screen. What's been a good thing is these kids are coming, many of them are asymptomatic. A few of them have tested positive with the screen, so now they can count their 5 days. We're still connected with the state well enough that we can document it as a positive case. So now that young person faces no quarantine issues other than perhaps they are asking folks to wear a mask if they've been exposed. But essentially no quarantine issues for 90 days because they've been sick with it. So that's helping the families quite a little bit. And that's as long as the tests last. If we find out that the tests are not going to last, we'll make another adjustment. We've got our regular board meeting will come up in about the right kind of stride where we can say, maybe we're clear out of testing anybody, but helping the teachers staying in class. But I'd like to kind of take a small step in that direction without stepping entirely there at this point. Any questions on where we're at on that?
Brandy applied for more tests, or how does that procedure go?
I asked her last night, I think are we going to go ahead and order them now in case it's a wait? And yeah, she was going to try to do that today. So by the time we see each other again in open session or in our next board meeting, we'll have a pretty good answer whether or not those are going to be available.
I don't know how many she plans on ordering, but I wouldn't go too over the top. Mm-hmm. So I think it'll be one of those things that, a month from now we'll have spent money on COVID tests that we may never use again. Maybe, hopefully not.
I sure hope that would be the case. It is really interesting. We are right in the middle of quite a wave. I've made you all aware informally where we're at, but 2 days ago, and then compared to the end of the day yesterday, we had 20 more positive cases crop up, combination adults and students. Again, everyone that I visit with when I find out about it, fairly minor. They feel cruddy and they're staying on. A real positive thing about going ahead and screening the teachers, our folks are doing a great job they know we're in kind of a battle right now. It's kind of ugly, and we also don't hope it won't last very long. But I visited with one of our teachers yesterday that was on the modified quarantine. Her husband, sick with COVID. He's home, feeling pretty good, and just not able to do what he's supposed to do or could be doing. She feels like garbage. She tests negative, and she went ahead and went to work. I think maybe 2 years ago, she might have stayed home and taken a sick day because she felt that tough. But we've got a lot of teachers that are saying, hey, as long as I know I'm negative, I'll go do what it takes. And that, you got to love that. I really do appreciate that.
That's very good, because I know we're short on substitutes. I mean, the school district's kind of like any other business right now. They're hard to find help, hard to find staff or substitutes. So a very big thank you to those that are feeling cruddy but are still going to work and helping out. Any questions?
Do we have enough substitutes to cover the classes? Is it time to kind of put a PSA out to parents who might have a few hours or blocks of days available to come in, or?
We're hanging in there.
Okay.
It's a wonderful question. I'm never sure we ever have enough.
You're right.
We do have lots of people doing things during the day that they wouldn't otherwise do just to cover. Dana and I are both kind of in the wings waiting. I'm almost wanting to sub in some situations, and I'm going to ask you. I'm thinking I may have to take that.
Kind of a bad sign when nobody else gets it.
It's because I.
You're kind of like that kid on the playground, your last
Exactly.
kid.
It's because I supervise the playground and let them get wet. I don't know. That ask me again in 2 more hours. I mean, it's right on the edge. We do have a couple buildings that are in a tougher spot than other buildings. But the other thing that we're seeing with this latest wave of sickness, because of the 5 days, folks are back pretty quickly. It changes. So, I mean, lots of folks tested, late in the weekend or Monday morning even, but they had it.
In the weekend.
They'd had symptoms since Saturday morning, so then they could go back and count those days as part of their 5, so they're only out a day or 2, and then they're back in. So that's really helped the subs. If it was a 10-day, we're not coming back for 10 days, yeah, we'd be running all kinds of messages out there. But it's kind of crazy. One of the dynamics of our district, and I like it, is that substitute teachers are approved by school board before we stick them in the classroom. So there's a little bit of a, yeah. We just have to take care of business when we do that. If we get too panicky and just throw somebody in that really shouldn't be in there, or compromise the educational setting of our kids, that would be a problem too. That'd be a bigger problem than not having enough subs.
Good.
Other things we can do, we can start combining a few classrooms. If a bunch of kids are sick at the same grade level, we can combine a couple and kind of hold the fort down there. We're fortunate, a couple of our student teachers are already on our sub list. They're student teaching, team teaching with a veteran teacher anyway. So if the veteran teacher's gone, we're doing this today, I think. If a veteran teacher's gone, that student teacher, we put her on the payroll today to cover the bases. To me, that's a whole lot more reasonable than a kid that graduated from high school last year that has no college hours.
I agree with that.
So, and they're already approved by you all as a substitute teacher. So we're holding it together pretty well right now.
We want to make a motion to approve the modified mitigation effort.
I move to approve the modified district protocols for contact tracing and testing as presented.
I'll second it.
Moved by Veronica, seconded by Megan, to approve the modified district protocols for contract tracing and testing is presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 2.2, COVID sick leave.
All right, this next item is as much informational item as anything else with the sick leave, and we have lots of different kinds of sidebar kinds of things that we have to use to deal with unusual situations with sick leave. I'm kind of reminding all of us of this. I'm speaking, the memo is spoken to the dynamics that we have with our teachers. We have similar concepts. Some of the day things are a little different with our classified folks, but the basic concepts are still there, minus the automatic access to the sick leave pool. Having said that, we have accessed the sick leave pool in years past, brought classified folks to you all, and we've stepped up and to try to support our staff every way we can. With this wave of sickness and it's not just COVID. You got the flu thing going on. We've got stress going on. We've got all kinds of weirdness going on. We have some of our employees are very near the end of what they have for sick leave. It's generally speaking, it's our first year teachers, our relatively new classified folks. They haven't worked yet for a year for us. And so there's some concern because if we didn't have the world of COVID going on around us, these folks would come to work, fight through a runny nose or whatever it is they've got going on. But when they are told by their doctor, hey, you're in isolation for 5 days, that really puts a stress on a lot of folks with their sick leave. We can alleviate a lot of that using the sick leave pool, using the tools that we have already in place for that. The thing that I'm bringing to your attention as an approved item at this point is typically we put in, they talk to me, we put it in written form, we bring it to the school board and the school board approves that. With this instability during the next month or so, and hopefully it'll be over at that point, I'm asking that we deviate a little bit from that I would go ahead and approve those kinds of sick leave access, make you all aware as a school board at the next regular meeting, unless you want to meet with me 2 or 3 times a week here in the coming weeks, because many of our young teachers are getting very close to the end of that. I have visited with everybody a little bit, just to make, in preparation for this meeting. I know some of the concerns that I heard is, could we be taking advantage of this? People are people. Some people might try to stretch that, but that's, the biggest thing is I've got to have documented positive case of COVID that has led to this. If it's a different kind of need for additional sick leave, we would stay with the typical protocol where you all would have the final say on that. But if it's a COVID thing, I've got to be out for the next 5 days. I've only got 2 days of sick leave left. Then we would access the things that we have outlined here. How much more can I get for you? And then go from there. But that's kind of where we're at. Any questions? I don't know if I explained that as well as I should.
No questions?
I don't want to keep meeting every other day because this happens, so I'm fine with giving you that authority to make those calls. The biggest thing here is just that we're trying to show some support for our teachers and give them some, in those circumstances where it's deemed necessary, give them the support they need, so.
Unusual time still. Hopefully it'll be over soon.
What is the mindset of our teachers? I mean, everybody,
I think
Buck it
most
up and
folks have
plug it
been fairly positive. Like I said, I personally have seen folks coming to work, they know they're negative. I don't know, 2 years ago, I'm not sure that the person that I met the other day would have. I think they would have taken a sick day, and they're not gonna be ones, they've got plenty. They've been here for a long time. I think people generally know this is, we've been fighting this battle together for a long time, and they're holding it pretty well. I've said from the get-go, I'm blessed to work with such a great team here in Abilene, and I know it sounds cliche, lots of people say that, but I've been in enough places now, I've got lots of folks to compare them to, and this truly is a great, great district, great people. And we're gonna do some really incredible things when we don't have to focus on COVID. We're already doing it, we really are, but it's gonna be easier to celebrate some of that then. Speaking of celebration, just a little sidebar, remember Tuesday night coming. We wanna recognize you all at the ball games, between the ball games, boys and girls. Thank you for your work as well.
Somebody want to make a motion to approve the COVID sick leave?
I move to approve the request to adjust sick leave provisions as presented.
Second.
Moved by Jennifer, seconded by Jeff to approve the request to adjust sick leave provisions as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passed. 3.1. Does anybody want to recommend that?
I move we adjourn.
Second.
Moved by Jeff, seconded by Randy to adjourn the meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time.